Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of Third Party Kit Bash, where I take some components from a non-Games Workshop manufacturer and combine them with some Games Workshop kits to create something entirely new. In this video, I'll be sharing the steps and the components used to build this Tallarn Desert Raider, who I'm dubbing as a Tallarn Desert Rider. So, let's get started. So the core Tallarn theming of this conversion is provided by this component here. This is a Desert Reaver torso from Reptilian Overlords, and I've 3D printed this particular piece as they offer STLs for sale. But if you don't have a 3D printer, they also sell these components as ready-made in resin as well. I'll be including all the relevant links in the description below. So this component comes as a torso, head and backpack in a single piece, so all you need to do is to clean up any mold lines or supports with a knife or file before it's ready to use. The motorbike that our Desert Rider will be riding, along with the arms and the legs, comes from the Atalan Jackals set for the Gene Stealer cult. I've clipped away all the parts required to build the bike, as well as the rider's legs and arms. For now, you just want to assemble the bike, leaving the legs separate for the time being. Now that the bike has been assembled, we can add the legs to the bike, but don't glue them into place just yet. We first need to see where adjustments need to be made in order to fit our Desert Reaver torso against both the waist and the legs, and also the arms attached to the handlebars. As you can see from this dry run, the tab protruding from the waist will get in the way, so we know that this will need to be removed. Use some clippers for this and then smooth out the waist using a file or a knife. You can also take this opportunity to remove any obvious Gene Stealer cult icons should your components feature them. Once the waist is done, bring in the torso once again and check how the fit is looking now. Again, we can see that the tab on the arm will also cause trouble, so go ahead and clip and file that joint smooth once again. So those tabs were the most obvious points of adjustment that we need to make, but as we're using two components that weren't really designed to be used together, we need to continue to make some adjustments. Most of these will occur around the waist and will require you to file down the top of the legs and around the waist in order to create not only a good joint against the legs, but also to create a realistic position for your rider to sit in. This can be quite tedious, but make only a few small adjustments at a time before doing a dry fit to ensure you don't cut away too much or at the wrong angle. Once you're happy that things are lining up, you can then glue the legs, arm and torso together. As the torso is resin, you'll need to use superglue for this. What we have now is a bike and about 80% of our rider, but we have a couple of things to resolve before we can add that second arm. These are the slight gap between the torso and the legs and the distinct lack of any imperial iconography on our miniature. Luckily for us, these two items can be resolved fairly simply with the inclusion of some equipment pouches to the waist. The parts I'm using here are taken from the Tempestus Science kit, but ultimately they can be sourced from any Astra Militarum set. The important thing is to use at least some Imperial Aquilers. Glue these around the waist with some superglue and watch any slight gaps at the waist disappear from view. Continuing with the Aquilers and the equipment, we can help to bulk out the rider's equipment by adding one of the stowed lasguns from the Science kit to where one of the panniers would sit. You just need to clip away the slight tab from the side of the bike first. So the final step is to give our rider his right hand. Now you could use one of the ranged weapons found inside the Jackal kit, but I will instead be opting for a close combat weapon. While pickaxes aren't very Tallarn, sabers are very much so, so I'm going to be combining this pickaxe with a Tempestan Scion power sword. Begin by cutting down the pick with a knife or some clippers, making the cut just above and below the hand. Similarly, use a knife to cut away the saber, keeping the pommel guard intact as you do so. File down the contact points on both items before gluing them together with some plastic glue. After allowing the glue to dry, take a bit of superglue and attach the arm to the torso. And with that, all that's left to do is to paint and base the miniature in a suitable desert scheme. And you should be left with something that looks like this. So hopefully you learned a few tips to create some Tallarn Rough Riders. However, as Rough Riders seem to be on their way out rules-wise, it might be best to use the stats for Atalan Jackals and have your Tallarn count as Gene Stealer cults in terms of their rules. As I mentioned earlier, the torsos were from Reptilian Overlords, which I 3D printed, but you can purchase ready-made resin torsos from them as well, and I'll include those links below. One thing I should mention is that if you are 3D printing your torsos, you can scale them down to about 90% size to make them better proportioned for the female Atalan Jackals in that kit. Now hopefully you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, leave me a like and be sure to let me know if you have any other conversion ideas you'd like to see me tackle in the future. If you're looking to recreate this conversion, then you'll probably want to buy yourself the individual Tempestus sign parts from bits resellers rather than buying full kits for them. I'd personally recommend Bitsbox, as I've used them in numerous conversions and they're good friends of the channel. For your Atalan Jackals kit, however, then check out Firestorm Games using my affiliates link in the description below. They offer discounts on Games Workshop products as well as a range of other wargaming products, and they ship worldwide. Plus, anything you buy after using that link will send just a little bit of money my way, which I can put directly into producing more of these videos. And finally, let me just say a huge thank you to the guys who support me on Patreon. Your continued patronage really does help me with the costs of producing these videos. And if you'd like to lend me a hand as well, I've included my Patreon link in the description below where you can donate to me from as little as $1 a month. So the only thing left to say is, thanks for watching and goodbye.